Welcome to the Travel Bug Girls podcast, the show where we dive into the world of travel, exploring everything from expert tips and insider secrets to unforgettable destinations and the latest trends. Whether you're a seasoned globetrotter or planning your very first adventure, we've got you covered with the advice and inspiration you need to make your travels truly unforgettable. So sit back, relax, and let's take your travel planning to the next level. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first Travel Bug Girls podcast. Woohoo! We're all excited. So I am Kimmie. I'm going to be your host throughout. And this podcast is just kind of to get you guys introduced to all four of us Travel Bug Girls, so you can kind of get to know us and our specialties and a little bit more about us. So I'm glad to have everybody here. I think you'll find that we all have different areas of expertise, unique experiences, different perspectives, and with the four of us combined, we're going to be able to meet all of your travel needs. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to have everybody introduce yourselves, tell us your name, how long you've been working in the travel industry, a fun fact about yourself, and your area of specialization. So let's start with Tina. You want to start?
Sure. Hi, my name is Tina Hoppala, and I am a travel agent for the past little over a year only. And my fun fact about me is I'm also a yoga instructor. I started being a yoga instructor in 2020 because I took my training. I was taking it for fun, and then ended up I changed my whole life with it. And I've been practicing yoga for almost 30 years. So this has been my transition for travel and yoga. And I am looking forward to sharing all of that with you in the coming weeks and months.
All right, Cassie.
I'm Cassie. I'm from West Virginia, a mom of two. I have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old, and my area of expertise is family planning. I've worked as a travel agent for about 6 months. I've done a lot of family planning for other people for quite a few years now. And a fun fact about me is I'm a nurse by trade, by other trade. So safety's always number one with me. So that's something that I probably go a little overboard on, but I'm looking forward to working with families and figuring out all the details. If it can happen to you, it has happened to me. So there's that.
I feel like there's might be some interesting stories in that.
Yeah.
All right, Heather, how about you?
Hi, I'm Heather, and I have been a travel agent now for 3 years. I started out because I was living in France. So, fun fact about me, I own a house in France, and I love traveling, and I was often hosting people that were coming over, often for the first time to Europe. And so they were really intimidated, but excited to see everything. And I found myself often being the travel kind of tour guide. And so when I moved back to the States, I started my travel business, and I specialize in Europe for that reason, and love especially leading culinary tours and helping people plan the perfect European vacation. Nothing is too complicated, confusing for me to tackle, and I love it.
I'm Kimmie. I have been a travel agent for about 2 years now, I think. Just a fun unrelated travel fact about me. I was in a dolphin show once, so that was really fun. I got to feed a fish like out of my hand to a dolphin. My area of specialization is cruising and beach. All things beach. I'm originally a Florida girl, so anytime I can connect back to the beach, it makes me happy. Another thing I wanted to talk about, what is your all-time favorite destination?
Northern Italy. I love Lake Como. That region is so beautiful. Everywhere you are has lake views and mountain views, and the food is absolutely phenomenal. And the little villages are just adorable. Everybody's very friendly up there. I just love everything about being in that region. So Northern Italy is definitely, so far, my favorite destination.
Kind of like, I think for all of us, we're not sure yet. That's a hard thing to like pick your favorite place. The one that popped out to me was Costa Rica. And I've been there once, and I definitely want to go back just to make sure that it was one of my favorite places, because it was just, the environment was just so beautiful. The people were amazing. And you really feel that pure vida, is that how they say it? That sense of calm when you're there.
Cassie?
We're Disney people. My whole family is Disney adults. I feel like we don't cross the line to over the top, but when we think of, we know that Disney is coming within the year, whether it's a long trip, short trip. A lot of people's going, just a few people. But if I'm going to say another family destination outside of Disney that has been my favorite has been Hawaii. We did a tour, a cruise of the Hawaiian Islands, and that was one of mine and my favorite, like my husband's favorite. We've kind of wanted to go back and redo that again. But if you just ask me, Disney's got to be it.
My favorite is a little tiny island that I've been to. It's called Beckway. It's part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it's just beautiful and very laid back. So everything that happens is on island time. So like when you go to a restaurant there, it's not fast. You might sit for 45 minutes before your food comes out. Everything's, kind of just really laid back in island time. And I was like, this is where I belong. These are my people. And it's just beautiful and warm all year round. So that's my favorite destination. So I want us to talk kind of briefly about the value of travel agents, like why people even need travel agents. And we're going to do a full episode on this soon, but just kind of a brief overview. Heather, I was going to see if you would kind of explain, like, what is the role of a travel agent?
Well, in my opinion, a travel agent's greatest value is in crushing the overwhelm and the confusion that can come in with travel planning. There's just so many options now, and we have access to the entire planet of options with the internet developed the way it is now. And so it can be really overwhelming to try to narrow it down. And it also can take up a ton of time scheduling and, trying to plan everything, because you're first doing hours and hours of research maybe to narrow it down to your favorite places, and then to go through and book everything can be really time consuming. So to me, the greatest things we do as travel agents is really cut through all of that. So we're helping a lot of clients that are tired of being the ones who have to plan everything, especially when we're working with women. We find a lot of our clients are women over the age of 30 who are like, I have been the planner my whole life. I am kind of getting tired of being the only one who's always doing all the planning, and I would love to go on a vacation where I could actually be the one to relax and and trust that someone else planned it the way I would want to have planned it. So I think that's the key. There's a lot of other things we do, though. Does anybody else want to jump in on some of the other things that we do as travel agents that are really valuable?
I think just being there when somebody needs, if you know that you have somebody on a trip and they are somewhere, and let's say like I'm planning for a family and you've got two little ones, and what if somebody gets sick? Where do you go to the doctor? How do you get medicine? What if you forgot their formula and they don't have that formula where you are? Just having somebody that you can check in with, and somebody that's a nervous Nelly, that you have anxieties about things like, what time did you say I was supposed to be there? Where are my tickets? I print off everything, and I have to have that backup to have the mental okay that everything's okay. So I think with a travel agent, you have that as in a person that you could reach out to and say, hey, did you say this was supposed to be such and such time, and where is it?
I think kind of expanding on what Heather already said too, there are so many different things out there, and if you have a travel agent on your side, you have somebody who can tell you whether that deal you found online is really a deal or a dud. And so that's really the biggest thing, is like, if you're with somebody who's dealing with travel every day, not just something that is something that you want to do, but we have the back end of so much information and people that we can meet with and talk with to help you out.
Yeah, that's great. I would love to hear why each of you decided to go into being a travel agent. Like, what I think all of us have or have had outside jobs. What drew you into being a travel agent?
I am that over 30 planner, and I always have been. I'm the first grandchild, first daughter, first niece, and everybody kind of looks to me for what are we supposed to do? And we've been in groups as large as 18 people. And our cup is very much filled with quality time. My whole family's that way. So I feel everybody always said, when I would come home and talk about our trips, like, it seems like you all have such a fantastic time. I don't know, my family would kill each other. Like, how would we ever decide where we're supposed to go or what we're supposed to do? Well, I feel like I'm pretty good at navigating people's, wants, needs, including children, and planning things. And that's kind of why I wanted to expand on the knowledge that I already had and be able to help other people, really get the most out of their trips.
Heather, how about you?
Well, I think I already mentioned that I found myself being the tour guide a lot in my life. I've lived in a lot of tourist destinations, essentially. So when family would come to visit, I was always the tour guide. So I was always the one doing the research, like, what are we going to do? How are we going to entertain everybody when they come to visit? And then showing them around. So that kind of started the process. But then there was definitely a moment, like maybe 2 years before I became a travel agent, where I realized the power of traveling with especially traveling with women, like traveling with your girlfriends or as a mother-daughter, or with your sister. Like, there is something really special that happens in those moments that just really stirred me to action and said, we need to help more women be able to do this, because in that moment, you're no longer, like Cassie's talking about. I also identify with that. I am often the person in the group that is in charge of everything and everyone, and making sure everyone's happy and comfortable and safe. And as a mom, as a sister, right, as a daughter-in-law, and these things happen. And I love that role. I do. It has shaped me in a lot of ways, but also to go on a trip where I'm so no longer suddenly responsible for everyone. Like, as a personal traveler, it was just such a breath of fresh air, like so relaxing to be able to spend time just with my sister or with my best friend and truly relax for the first time in a long time. That really stirred me, and I wanted to be able to make that easier for other women to do, and to also feel confident to go to places that maybe otherwise they would have been afraid to go. I wanted them to feel like if they worked with me, that I was going to have their back, and I was going to make sure that they had everything they needed to feel safe and secure going into that location, that they could have a great time going to Italy for the first time if they've never been and they don't speak Italian and they don't know what they're getting into, but they want to experience it. I want them to feel like they're going to have the best time ever, and that I am going to have their back and make sure it goes as much as possible the way they had hoped. So that is really what inspires me on a daily basis, especially working with the Travel Bug Girls.
Yeah. Along with that, my mom really liked to travel, and her and my grandma traveled a lot. And then her and my dad traveled. And then when my grandma and my dad both passed away, she didn't have really someone to travel with. And I know when I originally came to you about Travel Bug Girls, that was kind of one of our big discussion points, or like main pieces of what we wanted to do, is offer like opportunities for groups of women to really be able to travel together. Maybe if they didn't have someone they could travel with, that we could like provide them a built-in group of people to travel with. And so that kind of, I love to travel myself and I enjoy the research, but also that part of being able to support women in that way was a big like thing that drew me, especially to this group of travel agents. So what about you, Tina?
I think it was similar. My, I'm also the eldest child and first grandchild and all that, and so there's the things that go along with that. So I've been
There's a
always
theme.
planning things, yeah. But once I started being a yoga instructor, I started guiding yoga retreat, and it started with just people who were in my area, but I wanted to expand that, and so that was the original intent, was to try to expand on what I was already doing with the yoga and retreats, and kind of expand that and maybe help other yoga instructors or other professionals who wanted to gather their tribe and go to different places. And so I had started with another company, and then I met Heather at the yoga studio, and it was just like, kismet. We can kind of talk about all the different times we bumped into each other, and it's like, oh, you have the same idea about bringing women together and finding that space to find their peace and their power and doing it together. And so that was really what drew me to Travel Bug Girls specifically, but traveling for the different experiences that we can, gain better parts of our lives with.
So that kind of gives everybody a little perspective on each one of us and our specialties and our passion in travel and in life. So when people come to work with us at Travel Bug Girls, they'll know who they're going to be working with. I would love to hear a little bit about what you guys are seeing as far as current travel trends. So anybody can, share. Heather, I know you might have some insight on this one. What are you guys seeing as our top travel trends?
Well, one of the things that we know is a trend that people might be really surprised about, and we're going to definitely talk about this more in a later episode, and that is the growth of our industry in general and the use of travel agents. So there's a lot of statistics coming out now about that, and they're really highlighting this truth that people are finding it frustrating and overwhelming to do the DIY, book your own through the plethora of systems, like try to do all their research. Like they're feeling frustrated about it. And as we see, self-service systems expanding in every industry, I think the population is really kind of over it, right? And starting to feel like we want more guidance, we want more personal customer service. And so overall, that is, I think, a huge trend that we're going to see, and like the numbers are climbing. So in 2023, statistics were saying 70% of travel is now booked with travel agents, which is something that's shocking because a lot of people think travel agents have gone extinct, that's something that's from a bygone era, but we have grown so much since COVID because of all of the things that have happened in the last few years and the complications that have come out of travel from all of that, the airlines having so many issues and terrible customer service. And we see a lot of these DIY systems having just basically non-existent customer service. And so working personally with a person who's got your back has increased. And this year they were predicting a 10% increase in that. So, I mean, we're still waiting to see what the numbers are at the end of this year, but theoretically, we could be up to 80% of long distance travel could have been booked with travel agents in 2024. And that's really, I think, surprising for most people. So I would say that's the first trend I'm seeing. I could share some others, but let's hear what other people have been seeing. What have you noticed as you're looking and seeing things this year?
I think we're definitely going to talk a little bit about our responsibility as people who are traveling the world. We're kind of we had this whole section of time where the Airbnb thing has been popular, but what that's impacted some of the communities to where it's making it more expensive for people to live in the places that we want to visit.
Right.
And so I think people who are cognizant of that are moving back into going to the hotels and resorts and things that were made for the tourist, because you are going there to be a tourist. Yes, you may want to feel like you're part of it, but there are different ways to do it besides things that may ultimately hurt the community that you're wanting to support with going there.
I feel like in this post-COVID era, I don't know if it's necessarily COVID specific, but the trend is everything has an extra fee. Everything costs a little more money. And I think in the future, we discussed having that as an episode, hidden fees, extra fees. And these are things travel agents can end up saving you a tremendous amount because of these extra fees and everything that is just, it's trending. It's hot to charge you to park in their parking lot at a hotel, and an extra $50 a night for whatever. I've seen that on the increase lately just in personal travel.
Something that I think is also becoming more popular, especially like in the like mid to late 20s generation, is solo travel. And I'm a part of a Facebook group, and I've really I had no idea that solo travel was such a big thing, but it's like really popular, and I think it's growing. Even people that'll take like a month off of work and just go, travel around by themselves. So I think that is something that's a trend, and solo travel by women. And so I think that also is something that we are in a unique place to kind of help women that want to travel on their own and help them do it in a safe way. What about top destinations? Do you guys have either a top destination recommendation, a hidden gem, somewhere you're excited about, top destination that you see a lot of your clients wanting to go to?
In the last year, I have been surprised by a couple of top destinations. One was last summer's biggest hit was Norway. We were seeing a lot of people, and also in the States, those who weren't traveling overseas were requesting places like Minnesota for their summer vacation. Like families coming from the deep South and saying, we're going to spend 2 whole weeks up in the Great Lakes region. And so going to places like Wisconsin and Minnesota, places that not necessarily Southerners typically were vacationing in. And so, and the same thing with the European travel, they were wanting to go to those more northern climates. So Iceland, Norway, Sweden, places that are known for being colder. And I was honestly shocked. To have so many people request those destinations in 2023. That was when that really started in my circles anyway. And the other thing was more and more people requesting to see locations in like London and the English region, the English countryside, the Ireland and Scotland. So that area, especially working with women, I think because we have a lot of media that is showcasing, like there's a lot of great books and movies and things and TV shows highlighting the romantic side of that, right? And so people are really kind of chasing the fantasy of it, and like, I want to see it for myself. It looks so beautiful. It sounds so fabulous. It sounds magical. I want to see it for myself. And so that, coupled with the desire to kind of like connect to your roots, I think has been influencing both of those. So even that Norway, Swedish kind of stuff, we're seeing more and more families wanting to connect with their family history. So those are some of the more unexpected things that I've noticed over the last 2 years anyway.
Tina or Cassie, have you guys seen anything?
I have one that's not unexpected. One that is. New York seems to be a hot button thing right now all over social media. I know it's Christmas time and a lot of people travel to New York, but I've just been generally seeing more people just interested in information, transportation, different things that like that. But I feel like Orlando's always, when you talk about family travel, Orlando is number one. And Universal's opening the big Epic Universe
Mhm.
this summer, and there's a lot of interest in that. The brand new hotels that's going to be open, they still have rooms that you can book. However, they're predicting Disney to have a drop. So if you're a Disney diehard, that would be probably a low crowd time to go. But there's so much more to do in Orlando. I feel like, that people really can get a lot of bang for their buck in Orlando, especially with families. But the Universal's really got it going on over there.
I spent some time in the Austin area. So we're in Texas, but I went down to Austin, and there really the downtown area there is growing, and there's just so many different hidden gems that you could just stumble upon, which is great. And also outside of town, one of the places that I went to was the Lake Austin Spa Resort, and that's kind of a hidden gem, even though it's been like number one in Condé Nast for years. There are still people, like, even when I went there, like I had directions there, and you're driving, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that's going right into the water. Where's the resort? It's literally hiding because you have to go down to where the water is, and then, oh, here's the parking lot if you take a left. And
Wow.
then it's like, oh, it's right there, and it's by the water, and it's just such a unique place. So I think some of the destinations, as far as for some of the people I know, are maybe the older women, well, I say older, my age, 50 and up, we would like to go to places that are a little bit more calm, and you learn things like Viking cruises and some different places like that you're going to explore in that way, and just have kind of a neat luxury experience. And focus on yourself.
Well, guys, we are about at the end of our time for today. I just want to thank you all for being here. I really appreciate everybody's input. And so we are going to end our podcast every week with a final question at the end of each episode. And that question is going to be, what destination is on your mind this week? So I'm going to throw that out to you real quick. Just give me a like a 1-2-word answer. What destination is on your mind this week, Heather?
Oh, this week, I have been daydreaming about taking my family on our next Virgin cruise. So I've been looking at that, what options are out there for their incredible cruising in the Caribbean and the Bahamas. They have an island there in the Bahamas that I'd like to take my daughters to see. So we'll probably be on a Virgin cruise pretty soon.
Cassie?
Memphis, Tennessee. I want to take
Okay.
my dad to Graceland. So
Oh, awesome. Tina?
Niagara Falls.
Okay, love it. Mine is anywhere beach, warm, because I'm cold. It's cold here. So now that you guys have heard what's on our minds this week, we'd like to know where your mind is traveling today. You can share your answer with us on Facebook under this week's podcast question at facebook.com/travelbuggirls. And you can find us on your favorite social media by using @travelbuggirls. Want to join our VIP group? You can find us in Facebook groups under TBG Travel Bugs, or at facebook.com/groups/TBG Travel Bugs. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Travel Bug Girls podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It really helps the show grow and allows us to bring you more amazing content.
We'd love to connect with you on social media. Find us online at travelbuggirls.com. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and safe travels.